Frontier Town, the saga of the Roaring West. Frontier Town. El Paso, Cheyenne, Calgary, Tombstone. Frontier Town. Here is the adventurous story of the early West, the tamed and the untamed, from the Pecos to Powder River, Dodge City to Poker Flat. These are the towns they fought to live in and lived to fight for, teeming crucibles of pioneer freedom. Frontier Town!
If you've ever heard of me, and believe me, there's no reason why you should have, maybe you know that I'm Chad Remington, often referred to as a saddle-stop lawyer. Well, I guess Dos Rios, my hometown, is a saddle-stop, because there's certainly no railroad within 50 miles of it. Just a few stagecoaches that pass through, and most of the time a constant stream of cow ponies. As for being a lawyer, I guess I must plead guilty, Your Honor, because I make part of the living I do make from the practice of law. However, a small cattle ranch is one of my assets. And a few weeks ago, cited by Cherokee O'Bannon, the reformed medicine man who now owns our livery stable, I rode over to another town to buy some breeding stock. And what I'm going to tell you about now hit us like a cannon shot on the way back. We were about, 40 or 50 miles from Dos Rios, jogging along at a lively, sustained clip, and the O'Bannon was matching the rattle of the pony's hooves with the prattle pouring from his lips.
Chad, despite the fact that I own a livery stable, I must admit that I still have no true and lasting affection for horse flesh.
Oh?
Therefore, Counselor, I would esteem it a great favor if you would be good enough to stop for a bit of rest and relaxation overnight at some town between here and Dos Rios.
Or, to put it another way, Cherokee, you're saddle sore.
Sir, it's not my saddle that's sore. It's that portion of me, however, that comes in contact.
Whoa, there, that's quite enough. You don't have to draw me a physiological blueprint. And as a matter of fact, the same idea had struck me. I'd been thinking of stopping off in Maverick Town, at least for a good meal, and then deciding whether to go on to Dos Rios or not.
Well, a good meal would be more than welcome. Is there any place in a burg they would call Maverick Town where one could obtain a good meal?
One of the best places in the entire state, a little restaurant run by some Mexicans I know, Luis and Teresa Ibarra.
Well, that doesn't sound too appetizing, my boy. No, indeed.
But it is, Cherokee. They make the finest pollo con arroz and chili rellenos you've ever eaten. Of course, the food is hot.
Well, in that case, I'm all for it.
Well, you like hot food?
Indeed I do. Indeed I do. Hot food seems to give me a thirst.
Give you a thirst? Oh, Bannon, when the good Lord assembled you, he might have shortchanged you on scruples. But he certainly gave you a triple dose of thirst. All right, come on. Your tongue is starting to bulge now. Let's prod up these ponies and get into Maverick Town. And I'll introduce you to Luis and Teresa Ibarra mighty soon.
Senor Dallas, why do you all the time make trouble around my little restaurant?
I'll trouble you, you half-breed hash slinger, if you and that woman of yours don't go back where you come from.
We will not go back. We have just as much right to stay here as anybody else. We Americanos now.
The heck you are. We ain't got no room for foreigners like you within 20 miles of Maverick Town, you understand?
But, senor, me esposa and me, we're citizens just like anybody else.
Why waste time talking to him, Dallas? They ain't gonna leave. How about making them entertain us? Come on, let's make them dance. Come on,
Well, doggone it, that's a good idea, Blinky. All right, you two, let's see you dance. Come on.
Dallas, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You have no business picking on the bars.
Well, you think you can stop us, Bobby? Or maybe you think because your uncle owns the bank, you're running Maverick Town.
Bobby, do not mix up with these hombres.
Come on, I want to see you two dance. Now, come on. Who done that? Who's the sidewinder that shot my gun out of my hand? Well, tear him apart.
Well, start tearing, mister. I'm right here, right in front of you.
I'm right behind you, Chad.
What business you got butting in?
Well, let's put it down as the business of any decent citizen. Because from the little I seen of you, I hardly think you qualify.
Well, you ain't gonna see much more of me because I'm gonna close your eyes for you.
Look out, Dallas, look out. Pin him around this way and I'll give it to him.
Don't do nothing of the kind. Now just hold it right where you are. All right, Chad, now's your chance.
Thanks, Cherokee, and here goes. Now, you'd better get up and dust yourself off before I decide to do the dusting for you.
Come on, Blinky. We got other ways of handling Jaspers like them, too.
Gosh, mister, you sure gave Dallas what he had coming to him.
Oh, Senor Remington. Senor, when I saw you in the crowd, it made me very happy in my heart.
Well, it didn't make me very happy when I saw you, Louis. And what that he-devil was pulling on you.
Who are those two, anyhow?
Senors, you come inside, and while we fix you something to eat, we will tell you all about them.
Well, there wasn't much that either Luis or Teresa could tell us about the pair who had been picking on them, except that suddenly, for no apparent reason, someone was trying to make Maverick Town so uncomfortable for the Ibarras that they'd pick up and move. However, there was a reason we were to find out soon enough. And while Cherokee was washing down the hot food with glasses of red wine, had we been over at the cafe and dance hall across the street, we might have found out exactly what the reasons were.
Come on, Blinky. Lay off that bottle. Come on back into my office. I want to talk to you.
Sure, Dallas. Although it don't look like you're going to enjoy talking much with your lips split open.
Yeah? Well, before we get through, there's going to be a lot more than split lips around this town. Come on. Come on. Get that office door open.
All right, now take it easy, Dallas.
Well, I found out who that big Jasper was who butted in.
Yeah?
It's Chad Remington, that lawyer from over in Dos Rios. And if we let him hang around Maverick Town, we may miss the boat.
Boat. We may miss the train.
Ah, never mind the jokes. But that railroad agent will be back in town Friday. And if we can't deliver that corner the Mexicans have got their restaurant on, along with the acreage behind it for the new freight yard, he'll probably try to do business with them direct himself.
Well, I don't see why Bascom don't pay the Mexicans something and just buy the place from them.
Bascom shell out his own dough? Why, that one's so tight every time anyone walks inside his bank, he locks the vault.
Yeah, that's a banker for you, all right. I guess he's got the first penny he ever made.
Well, we're getting a few of them pennies once we run them Ibarras out of town and Bascom takes over their property. But I get a hunch we're not going to get away with it unless we get Remington out of town, too.
Yeah? Well, how do you figure to do that? You know, from the little I seen of Remington, he's a plenty sorely maverick.
He handles himself all right against one man. Do you think he can against six?
Huh? 6? What do you mean?
I want you to get some of your boys and lay for Remington. And as far as anybody else is concerned, I want it to look like Remington picked a fight with you.
Ah, I get you. Well, don't worry, Dallas. If that's what you want, we'll give Remington the full treatment.
You better make sure you do. Because with Bascom ready to pay us $2,000 to get that Mexican's property for him, you may want to live long enough to collect your share.
Well, with with the little Louis and Teresa told Cherokee and me, we decided we'd stay in Maverick Town, at least overnight, and maybe for a few days longer. It was pretty obvious that there was something wrong, some new and unexplained reason for the sudden resentment against the so-called foreigners. And we decided to find out what it was. Well, after the biggest and best meal we'd had in weeks, Cherokee and I left the little Mexican restaurant and started down the street towards the hotel. We hadn't walked very far when suddenly 5 men came out of no place, and before I realized it, the meanest looking of the bunch had managed it, so I bumped into him.
Hey, what's the matter? Ain't there room enough on the street for you? You have to walk all over my feet?
I wouldn't if you'd keep your feet where they belong.
Oh, one of them smart jaspers, huh? Well, we'll soon...
All 5 of you? Now, unless you're tired of living, keep your hands away from those guns.
Why, you... Come on, get 'em, boys.
They ganged up on us.
Keep those 2 tied up, Cherokee. This one's going for his gun.
Oh, look, I should breaking my arm. Let go.
All right. I'm going to give you a better chance than you gave us. I'm giving you 3 to clear off the street.
Come on. Come on.
Billy Blue Blazes, Chad. Have you ever been punched in the stomach after 3 portions of enchilada?
You know, it must have been the enchiladas that won the fight for us. The garlic on our breath did more damage than our fists. Besides, what they shook up inside of you was 3 bottles of vino.
Golly, mister. Every time I walk down the block, you seem to be having a fight with Dallas or some of his boys.
Then you know who those highbinders are, son?
I don't know them personal, but I know they all hang out at the Lady Luck Saloon. They're all friends of Dallas Vixen. He owns the saloon.
Have you any idea why this Dallas person should suddenly take a dislike to Louise and Tracy Ibarra and start making trouble for them?
Gosh, no. Long as I remember, everybody in Maverick Town is like Mr. and Mrs. Ibarra. This is something entirely new.
Well, son, there's only one way to try to get the answer, and that's by going directly to headquarters. What do you say, Cherokee? Let's go into the Lady Luck and see if we can find this Mr. Dallas Vixen.
Let me tell you something, Remington. You're barking up the wrong tree.
I wonder. There are some trees that folks around here might be tempted to use, unless you learn to behave yourself.
Yeah? Well, we got some pine trees around here, Remington. They cut down easy, and a couple of men can build a 6-foot box out of them awful fast.
Well, if they do chop down a pine tree, why not have them build 6 more pine boxes? Because you and your gunslicks might need them, too.
Well, if that's all you got to say, Remington, I'd be very much obliged if you'd be on your way. Having you around may give my place a bad name.
Any bad name this dive might have probably will be cleaned up before this week is over, Dallas. Right along with some of the characters in this town.
We'll return to the second act of Maverick Town, our exciting frontier town adventure, in just a few moments. And now, Frontier Town.
Well, as you know by now, Cherokee wasn't welcome in Maverick Town. And certainly neither was I. Of course, we had no idea what the reasons were for the sudden animosity exhibited toward us. No more than we knew the real reason behind the attempts to railroad the Ibarras out of town. Notwithstanding the set-tos we'd had with Dallas and his men, this stiffened our backbones and increased our resolve to stay in Maverick Town until we had the matter settled, one way or the other. We found out later that not too long after the affair on the street in which Blinky and his friends ganged up on us, Mr. Bascom, the town banker, paid a call on Dallas Vixen, entering his office through a rear private door.
I imagine you men know what I'm doing over here.
Sure, Mr. Bascom. We were just talking about it.
Talk. I'm sick and tired of all this talk. I want action. And by thunder, I'm going to have it.
Well, doggone it, Mr. Bascom. Did this shiner I got and that cut on Dallas's lip look like you wasn't getting action?
The only thing I'm interested in is results.
And that's just what we're going to get you. Because I've just figured out that we've been playing this game the wrong way.
Oh, you have you?
Yeah, I have. Doing what you told us not only hasn't worked out, but now everybody in town knows we got some reason for wanting to run them Mexicans out of here.
Yeah, and they may be running us out of here before we know it.
Now, the way I got it figured, Bascom, we can get Luis and Teresa out of this town, take over their property, and none of us will have to lift a finger.
You're not even making sense, Dallas.
I sure am. Because what if the folks in Maverick Town got to thinking that this was no place for a couple of Mexicans? They'd run them out of here in fast order.
Oh, yes, and who's going to give them such an idea?
All we got to do is call a meeting. You know how mobs are, just like sheep. Let somebody get up on a platform and tell them the bears are foreigners and un-American. Don't worry, the mob will do the rest.
By Daniel, I think you're right. And the bigger the lies we tell, the easier it'll be to make 'em swallow 'em. As a matter of fact, as the banker in this town, I can probably get up on the platform and whip 'em up into such a frenzy that they'll run the bears out of town tarred and feathered.
You bet you can. And by noon tomorrow, you'll be back laying $2,000 right here on my desk.
Folks, now, please. Please, folks, now, please, if you'll just let me finish. All I'm saying is, what sort of town are we building? When foreigners can come in here, open businesses, be in daily contact with our wives and children, and then take our hard-earned money and send it back to the country where they came from. Now, I say, if we don't get rid of the undesirable foreign element, your ranches won't be worth a nickel.
All the ridiculous hogwash. Now, you remind me of a herd of spooky cows being stampeded. Now, what sort of a man is this banker of yours that he's trying to turn you against Luis and Teresa Ibarra? Because this is one country where every man has the chance to live, and to live decently, regardless of race, creed, or color. All right. You don't have to throw me out. I can get out of here soon enough if that's the way you feel. Come on, Cherokee. Let's get outside and into the fresh air. I can't wait to get the odor of this place out of my clothes.
Senor Remington, Luis and I, we have talked the whole thing over. We heard about the meeting.
See. We decide we're going to get out of Maverick Town before we cause shootings and trouble.
That's ridiculous. Now you're actually talking like a foreigner.
Cherokee's right. Good Americans don't run away from trouble.
No, senor. We like very much for staying in Maverick Town. This place our home, but, well...
They haven't run you out of town yet. And they're not going to if we can ever find out why Bascom, the banker, suddenly pops up spreading dissension and hatred.
I cannot say, senor. But anything this banker does always has some connection with money.
Why, just looking at that thin, hard mouth of his made me feel like I wasn't looking at a man, but I was looking at a shark.
See. Except that the shark, you can catch him on a hook.
That's only half right, Luis. You can only catch a shark on a hook if you've got the right bait. And I'm willing to wager that by the time we get through, Bascom, Vixen, and their entire crew will be out of water and gasping like fish on dry land. Teresa seemed to have the only possible clue to the whole situation. Bascom wanted the Ibarras out of Maverick Town because of some reason that had something to do with money. There seemed to be no way of finding out what his reason was until I got about the wildest idea that ever entered my head. Remembering that we had met his nephew, Bobby, on the street, Cherokee and I took the advantage of the chance acquaintance to ride out to Bascom's house and see Bobby late that afternoon.
Gosh, I just don't see what you mean, I guess.
Bobby, we're trying to tell you that your uncle's in danger. He's locked up inside that vault.
Locked in the vault.
We've got every reason to think that he is, and that's why we came to see you. We thought if you had a set of keys that would let us into the bank and knew the combination of the vault, well, we might be able to get your uncle out of there before he suffocates.
Whoa. Uncle does keep some papers and things in a little desk in his bedroom.
And that's where the keys are, and the vault combination ought to be. Come on, Bobby. We just haven't got a second to waste.
Left 14.
Left to 14.
Right 0.
Right to 0.
That should do her, Chad. Try the handle and see if she opens
Hurry,
up.
Mr. Remington, hurry. If my uncle's in there, he may have suffocated already.
All right, Bobby. Just stand aside till I swing this door back.
Mr. Remington, there's nobody in the vault.
No, Bobby, but I've got a hunch there is something in the vault that I'm looking for.
You mean you talked me into getting you the combination just so you could rob the bank?
The only thing I'm going to remove from the vault won't be something that's valuable to the bank. If it's here, the only value it will have will be to all of Maverick Town.
Wait, you're nothing but a big crook.
Cherokee, grab the youngster and hold him.
Now hold still, Sonny, because I certainly don't want to hurt you.
Get away from me.
I wonder if it could be in this drawer. Marked private correspondence.
Hurry it up, Chad. This youngster is worse than a wild catamount.
I'm doing my best, Cherokee, but there are so many papers in here that... Well... Yeah. It looks like all the risk we've taken aren't wasted. Here's a letter from the railroad saying that they're building a freight yard in Maverick Town and that they need the property the Ibarra's restaurant stands on for their freight depot.
I don't believe it. That'd mean my uncle's a crook.
You just be grateful it's your uncle and not your father.
Uh-oh. That looks like Bascom just pulling up outside in a buckboard.
But he'll come in. He'll catch us here.
Yeah, I suppose he will. But it's a little doubtful as to whether he's catching us or we're catching him.
I can slip out through that window over there, Chad, and do the rest of what you had in mind.
All right, Cherokee, I think you'd better. Now get going.
Now you watch your step, Counselor. Although this is law business, you've broken the law, and you may be up to your neck in trouble.
Now, will you stop talking and get out of that window? Bascom's at the door now. Now, you get behind the vault door, Bobby. When your uncle finds me in here, there's apt to be trouble. Gun trouble. Come on in, Mr. Bascom.
What?
I've got a little business here I want to discuss with you, and I don't think you're going to enjoy it.
How'd you get in here?
Never mind how I got in, but let's discuss why I got in. And to save you worrying about it, I was anxious to get my hands on this letter.
Letter? Why, you unmistakable...
Bascom, you'd make another mistake clearing your holster.
You don't scare me one bit. Besides, I've got you dead to rights.
I'm warning you, Bascom, let your gun alone. You must be 20 years older than I am, and I'm trying to give you an even break.
The only break you're going to get is...
Go on, drop it.
No, let go of me.
I'll let you go right now.
Wow. You really let him have it. He won't wake up for... Mr. Remington, look. Here comes Dallas and his whole gang.
Well, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. I sent Cherokee to tell them that your uncle was absconding with the bank's money. All right, come on, Bascom. You'd better wake up. There's a reception committee coming to call on you.
What'd you say?
All right, come on, Bobby. You and I are going to hide behind the vault door and watch the whole show.
Well, I'll be blamed. So this big rumhound was telling the truth. Cleaning out the bank, was you, Bascom? All ready to make your getaway.
No. I
Why don't you stop that lying? Guess we know what we can see.
Well, I'm telling you, I wasn't clearing out. I didn't open the vault door.
Oh, sure not. You're just trying to frame us into doing your dirty work, running them two poor Mexicans out of town, and all you want's to hog all the money. Well, we'll soon see about that.
Yes, Dallas, we'll see about that.
Who's it?
Now, drop those guns.
Look out, Dallas. I got a beat on him.
Cherokee, lend me a hand. I'm going to shove them all into this vault and slam the door.
That's it, Chad. We've got them now. Well, I was glad to help you, Chad, but locking those crooks up inside that vault.
Well, until we get the town marshal and some deputies with handcuffs, can you think of any place better for a crooked banker and his gang to be locked up?
Senors, please. You let me give you a few more tacos and just maybe a little more chicken, no?
Oh, Teresa, as much as I love your food, no fooling. I'm up to here.
But, senor, after all you do to help Teresa and me make sale of land to railroad, you must have just a little more something. Maybe you, Bobby?
Oh, gosh, no thanks. I'm full.
And Luis, I've got to pass. But maybe Cherokee will oblige.
Amigos, I just couldn't hold any more food. However, if you just happen to have a glass of something to wash this down with...
Oh, yes. Here, Senor Cherokee. A whole full bottle of very finest tequila.
Tequila?
See, what is wrong, senor? You do not like tequila?
Well, I'll tell you, my little pigeon. I once had a sip of that Mexican liquor, and the only thing I'd use it for now would be to give a slug of it to some woman I hated.
Give it to some woman you hated, Cherokee. Now, what would you do that for?
Why, Counselor, for a very obvious reason. Tequila, of course.
Frontier Town, starring Reed Hadley and featuring Wade Crosby, is a Bruce Ells production. Story and direction by Paul Franklin. Music written and played by Ivan Ditmars. Be sure to be with us again same time next week for another fine action-adventure story with your favorite young Western star, Reed Hadley. And now this is Bill Foreman to tell you that Frontier Town comes to you from Hollywood. Frontier Town, the saga of the Roaring West. Frontier Town. El Paso, Cheyenne, Calgary, Tombstone. Frontier Town. Here is the adventurous story of the early West, the tamed and the untamed. From the Pecos to Powder River, Dodge City to Poker Flat. These are the towns they fought to live in and lived to fight for. Teeming crucibles of pioneer freedom. Frontier Town!
I kind of feel that I know most of you folks by this time, but maybe there are some of you who don't remember me. So just for the record, my name's Chad Remington, and I sort of practice law in the little frontier town called Dos Rios. Now, practicing law on the frontier is a lot different from practicing law in a city. In fact, it's so different that I've ended up playing detective, troubleshooter, and in general, the cases I get seem to make me a target, just like a clay pigeon in a shooting gallery. What I'm thinking of right now is some trouble that was dragged to my doorstep and dropped there that concerned a stagecoach that, well, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. So let us start where the whole thing started. It was just past noon when I left Cherokee O'Bannon, the ex-medicine man who has reformed sufficiently to operate the Dos Rios livery stables. Well, I let the O'Bannon talk me into having lunch at the Greenback Cafe and Entertainment Palace. Now, believe me, if there's anything about the Greenback to recommend it, it isn't the food. It's something that Cherokee ferreted out in short order.
Chad, my boy, don't you find that sandwich a little, shall we say, dry?
I sure do, Cherokee. It tastes like it's been well sprinkled with alkali dust.
Then why don't you join me in something to wash it down? You did hear me, didn't you, Chad? Something to wash it down?
Cherokee, maybe you could palm that genuine Cherokee Indian rattlesnake oil of yours off on some unsuspecting folk, but I'll be doggone if I'm going to be conned into buying your drinks in the middle of the day.
Oh, not even one? I say not even one?
Now, look, you old reprobate. That nose of yours isn't the color of the painted desert because of... Say, this is funny. I wonder what Maud Jackson's doing coming into a place like this.
Maud Jackson in here? Why, this is just about the time of day when she should be checking out the mail and express that arrived on the 11 o'clock coach.
Apparently, she's looking for someone in here.
Yes, and apparently it's us. Or you.
Maud, were you looking for someone?
Oh, Chad. The wrangler over at the livery stable said he thought you'd come in here for lunch.
Sit down, my dear lady, sit down. We were
Chad,
just...
something awful's happened. Here it is, almost 1 o'clock, and the 11 o'clock stagecoach hasn't arrived yet from Barranca Springs.
Well, the whole trip doesn't take much over an hour from Barranca Springs. And if the coach is 2 hours late, I'm afraid maybe something did happen. Where's Jim? Where's your husband?
Jim went over to Barranca yesterday to see Senator O'Connell. You know, the franchise for our stagecoach line's coming up for renewal.
Hey, Buck, I'm leaving $2 to take care of our check. All right, come on, Maud, Cherokee. If something is wrong, we can't waste any time finding out what it is.
Billy Blue Blazes, Chad, where do you think you're going in all this rush?
Well, I'm going to get some horses out of that broken-down livery stable of yours and hightail it out over the road to Barranca Springs. We ought to find some sign of the coach.
I hate to say this, Chad, but I have an awful feeling about it. Each time our franchise has come up for renewal before, we've never had any trouble, but... Well, this time Jim got a letter from... Oh, good heavens, Chad, look! Look down the street.
Holy mackerel. Here come the stagecoach horses, but the coach isn't in sight.
Oh, this is awful. With the children just getting out of school now, if those horses ever run loose... Oh,
Cherokee,
Chad.
you and Maud get back. All right, come on now, quick.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to do the only thing I can do. Wait till those horses come abreast of us, close my eyes, and jump. And I hope I land on the back of one of them and rein them in. Get back, Maud. Cherokee, pull Maud out of the way. And instead of just standing there, you might say a prayer. Here goes. Hold there, hold. All right, hold it now. Doggone it, I don't want to have to hurt your mouths. Oh, there, oh.
Chad! Oh, thank God! Thank God Chad stopped the runaway team.
Even a professional detective couldn't have found anything from the harness of the runaway team that would have meant anything. Nothing was cut through or tampered with. And for an amateur detective like a Cowtown lawyer, it was as bad as having Niagara Falls suddenly vanish. Of course, what we didn't know at the time could have helped, because while we were leading a runaway coach team back to the stables, two hard-bitten men were down the street, eyes glued on us.
Blast it.
I never thought that team would get back to town.
Well, what of it? They ain't gonna find out anything from the team, Dick.
Yeah, guess not, Newt. But if Fannin ever finds out we slipped up.
Well, the thing I don't like about it is this Chad Remington getting mixed up in this. From all I hear, Remington is one tough nut.
Yeah, what about it? Even a tough nut's not too hard to crack once the shell's all shot full of holes.
Yeah, Dix. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Now, look, the thing for us to do is to go get us some fresh horses and then hightail it back to Barranca. Fannin will want to know how it went. And one thing I'm sure of, Dos Rios is one town I ain't gonna be caught in.
Well, while Dix and his barrel-chested friend Newt were getting fresh horses, Maud, Cherokee, and I got horses of our own from O'Bannon's livery stable and started out, backtracking over the road the runaway team had come, staring futilely into the hot desert sun for some sign, some mark of the stagecoach itself. On the way, I took time to question Maud Jackson about everything that might be behind the whole mystery.
All I can guess, Chad, is what Jim said a few days ago. Something about he was afraid this other coaching company was out to get our franchise away from us.
Well, I don't think I'm unusually abstruse, but I don't see why a stagecoach that suddenly vanishes should have any effect on a franchise. Do you, Chad?
Cherokee, you see, if we don't deliver the express and the mail we carry on schedule every day, our franchise can be taken away from us.
What do you know about this other company, Maud?
Well, to tell you the truth, Chad, not too much. Only what Jim's told me.
And what's that?
Well, the man who owns the other company, named a 10-horse Fanning, hasn't got much of a reputation. Jim says Fanning was run out of Wyoming not too long ago.
Well, even with his bad reputation, unless Mr. Fanning has a reputation for being a magician, I don't see how he could make a stagecoach disappear. Certainly we haven't seen one wheel track in the 7 or 8 miles we've ridden so far.
Well, I hate to be hard-headed about this, Chad. What makes you insist the stagecoach was swallowed up? Maybe it never even left Barranca Springs.
Oh, now, nonsense. If something had happened to the other end, Jim or someone would have sent me a telegram.
Yes, I see what you mean. But this is ridiculous. Hasn't been raining, so there couldn't be a landslide. There's been no earthquake. Couldn't have fallen down a hole.
And yet the horses came in all by themselves. But we haven't seen a sign of the coach or a mark of its wheels all the way from town.
Well, I used to pull tricks standing on the tailboard of my medicine wagon, but I never made a stagecoach disappear.
No, the only thing you ever made disappear completely is no mystery. 2 pints of bourbon.
Well, a man needs to keep his...
Chad, look up ahead there. Doesn't that look like wheel tracks?
It certainly does, Maud. Come on, let's prod up these horses.
Get up there, you!
Oh, hold it.
Chad, this just can't be.
Oh, it can't be, but it is. Here we are in the middle of a level plain, 10 miles wide. The wheel tracks at the stagecoach come right up to this point. Suddenly stop, and there isn't a sign of a footprint or any mark to show what happened to the stagecoach or where it went.
I wish I'd have brought one of those pint bottles with me. This is nerve-wracking.
I just don't know what to say. Stagecoach got here, and then... Well, it's impossible, Chad. It's like the earth had swallowed it up.
And still there isn't any sign of any human force having done it. Now, this is about the... Hello. Here come 2 riders. We'd better wave them down and ask them to pull off the road as they ride through. If there are any signs, their horses could trample them over. Hey, boys. Boys, hold it a minute, will you?
Hold there.
Well, what's the matter? What do you want?
Well, would you mind cutting off the road to your right for about a mile? You see, we're checking some wheel tracks.
Hey, what do you mean, cut off the road? It's public, ain't it?
Well, maybe this long-legged Maverick reckons it ain't. Maybe he thinks he took the road over.
Mister, I don't relish that kind of talk. And especially, I don't like being called a long-legged maverick.
Well, now, ain't that too bad? Cover him, Newt.
Right.
Now, are you gonna get out of the road and start letting us through, or are we gonna have to blast you?
I ask you politely and peaceably. But if you think you'd prefer it some other way, then that's up to you.
Watch it, Chad. That other gunslick's thrown down on you, dead center.
I don't think he's got enough salt to squeeze the trigger.
Oh, you don't, huh? Well, you'll make just
More,
one...
Cherokee, slap his horse's flanks, quick!
Great day in the morning, Chad. You shot his gun right out of his hand.
And now I think you'd better mount up and start riding.
Mister, you'll get yours yet. And don't ever forget it.
Come on, Dick.
You'll be hearing more about this. Believe me, you will. Mr. Chad Remington. Get up.
Gosh, Chad, he knew who you are. Knew your name and everything.
Yeah, so I heard. And if you ask me, he's probably right warning us. Knowing who I am can only mean one thing. Our troubles finding that missing stagecoach and busting up this whole crooked scheme haven't even started yet.
We'll return to the second act of The Coach That Arrived Missing, our exciting frontier town adventure, in just a few moments. And now, Frontier Town.
As I said earlier, I'm no detective. Never have been one, and after this experience, I never want to be one. When you come face to face with a set of facts to which there is absolutely no answer, my advice to you is the same advice I'd give to Cherokee. Go back to bed and sleep it off. But unfortunately, faced with the facts we were faced with, there was no bed to go back to. Right in the middle of nowhere, a stagecoach had arrived, stopped, and then without leaving a splinter or a footprint, simply vanished. Vanished into no place. And worst of it all was the fact that unless we found out how it had disappeared and why, Maud and Jim Jackson stood to lose the franchise the state had given them to operate their stagecoach line. Well, as those two gunslicks rode off, after giving us that somewhat cryptic warning, Maud, Cherokee, and I stood looking after them.
Chad, them two give me the goose pimples. I'm scared. I'm afraid now something might have happened to Jim.
Well, there's no sense in getting worked up over something that we don't even know about, Maud.
Of course, if I had a pint with me, we'd all be better off.
How? Will someone please tell me how a stagecoach could arrive right here, stop, and then disappear, leaving no trace behind it?
Well, maybe they pulled that old engine trick and dragged over the tracks they made after they stopped the stagecoach, Chad.
I thought of that too, Maud. But nobody dragged this over. You can see the little ridges in the sand that were blown in by the wind. They haven't been disturbed.
Well, I'm no oracle or sage, but I think the best thing we can do is get back on our horses and keep riding till we get to Barranca Springs.
But what about the coach?
We can keep looking for signs of it or something as we ride along. All right, come on.
Great jumping jellyfish! Oh!
What happened, Cherokee? What did you do?
Bag my big toe into this thing. This, lying here on the ground.
Well, what in the world is that?
This is a fine one. A thing like this here right in the middle of a virtual desert. You know what this is?
Well, I'll be a prohibitionist. Well, that's a That's a monkey wrench, Chad, isn't it?
Why all the fuss over a monkey wrench that someone lost?
Because the someone who dropped this monkey wrench, Maud, was the gunslick whose horse you slapped. He was right here when his horse bucked, and this monkey wrench must have fallen out of his jeans.
Well, I still don't get it.
I tell you, it's the answer to what happened to the stagecoach.
The answer to what happened to the stagecoach? Chad, have you been drinking?
Oh, no, Maud, far from it. But if I had, I'd sure prescribe it for everybody else. Now, look, this is the only way the stagecoach could have been made to appear to vanish. I'm guessing at a lot of this, but I'll bet you right now that it's right.
You bet that what's right?
Whoever stopped that stagecoach did it from behind. Using one lariat or two, they roped them over the horses and forced the driver to stop.
Now, Chad, you can't make a stagecoach disappear with lariats.
Now, listen to this. Since there are no footprints here, one of the men who stopped the coach climbed up the rope hand over hand.
Yes?
Then he tied up the driver and, using the ropes, dragged the stagecoach backwards after turning the team loose.
Dragged them backwards?
Dragged it carefully, right in its original tracks. Then, when they got it back, probably a mile or so from here, behind those rocks, they used this monkey wrench and some others, unfastened the nuts and bolts, and took the coach apart, piece by piece.
Piece by piece?
Well, that's the only thing that they could have done, Maud. And now that we've gotten this far, the only thing for us to do is to get on our horses and follow those two buzzards who just left here.
But why follow them?
Because it was one of them who dropped the monkey wrench. And if we're able to pick up their trail, I've got a hunch they can lead us right to Mr. Fanning or whoever it is who wants that stagecoach franchise. Come on.
Maud, are you all right? Can you keep up with this clip?
Don't worry about me. All I want is to overtake them two, get to Barranca Springs and see Jim.
Well, they can't be too far ahead. You can still see their trail up there leading into that grove of aspens. Just keep rolling.
You know, these aren't race horses, you know, Chad. These are livery stable horses. At the rate we're riding them, there won't be enough left of them.
Cherokee, are you all right?
I can't tell till I get a mirror. I have a feeling that shot came so close that hereafter I may be wearing a toupee. What in the world brought that on us, Chad?
I think those two Mavericks found out we were trailing them. They've gotten into the protection of those aspens, and they're determined to get us.
We'd better get out of here.
No, hold it. We've got to get through to Barranca Springs.
Oh, but we can't, Chad. If we start riding through them trees, they'll probably bury us in there.
Let me remind you, Counselor, of an old saying. Discretion is the better part of valor.
Now, look. You and Maud go off to the right, up through that draw and down over that saddleback. I'll stay here and cover you. If they show their heads trying to follow you, I've got them like clay pigeons.
But what's going to happen to you, Chad?
You just worry about yourselves. If you get through, and I'm lucky enough to join you, you meet me at the covered bridge that crosses Wolf Creek.
Now, you look here, Chad. We're not going to run off.
Now, that's enough, Maud. Now, you and Cherokee get going. I'm going to throw just enough lead into those aspen trees to make them keep their heads down.
Ours not the reason why. Ours just to... what's the use? Come on, Maud. Let's get riding.
Well, I guess it was the luck of the Irish, the typical O'Bannon luck. But the half-baked plan I had worked, and we all met at the covered bridge at Wolf Creek. Hardly had we gotten into Barranca Springs and tied off our horses, then who should we see coming down the street but our two friends, Newt and Dix. And fortunately, they didn't see us.
Oh, look at them wall-eyed varmints, Chad.
See them? They're heading through that alley next to the saddle shop.
And down that alley had better lead to someplace we want to find.
What's that, Chad? I don't see what you mean.
I mean, if Fanning or someone else actually did hire those two thugs to make it seem that you violated your franchise, then whoever is down that alley is the man they're going to see. And he's the man we want to see, too.
But how are we going to find out who it is, Chad?
By the simple process of becoming a couple of sleuths. You know what a sleuth is, don't you?
Why, naturally. Sleuth is a two-toed animal that hangs from a tree.
Oh, no. Cherokee, in your case, the sleuth not only is going to have 2 toes, but 2 heads.
Well, thank you very much, Counselor. That's the nicest. Huh? Are you intimating that I'm a two-headed freak, such as they have in museums, pickled?
In that last word, you answered your own question, Cherokee. Maud, you go see if you can find your husband. Cherokee and I are taking off down that alley, and when we come back, if we do come back, I'm hoping to have your franchise signed, sealed, and delivered. I don't know about real detectives, but this Cowtown detective played a hunch, and played it right on the nose to win. Cherokee and I walked on eggs down that alley until we came face to face with a heavy barred door. A door which certainly was the end of any searching we were going to do. But what was behind that door, just outside our reach, was something we strained our ears to find out. While Cherokee bent a horseshoe nail into the form of a pick, I doubled up my lanky frame and did my best to get my ear to the keyhole.
Yell all you want, but there ain't no use in getting your back up at Newt and me, Fanning.
Yeah, that's the truth, Fanning. Dix and me did every last thing you told us to do.
Every last thing I told you to. Even to tangling with that tin-horn lawyer, Chad Remington.
But how did we know?
How do you two know anything? That's what I'd like to know. Huh. Letting those horses loose. That spoiled the whole idea.
Fanning, we did what we could with the horses. But I ain't seen a horse yet you can take apart with a monkey wrench and a screwdriver and make vanish like a stagecoach.
Yeah? Well, let me tell you both something. That franchise comes up for renewal tomorrow. If you two smart Johns fixed it so that Jim Jackson's franchise is renewed, and I don't get it, not only ain't I paying you a red cent, but I'm personally going to beat your brains out with a... Who's that?
What? Just cover the pair we met on the road, Cherokee. I'll take care of Mr. Fanning.
Fanning? That's that lawyer from...
Shut up. How'd you get that door open?
I used to be a hotel detective. Say, that's very amusing. I mean, the idea
That's
of
enough, Cherokee. Fanning, we heard enough outside that door to put you and these 2 buzzards you hired behind bars for quite a spell.
You break into my office like a sneak thief and you threaten me with jail?
Mr. Fanning, I bow to your superior powers of description. But you're going to jail if I have to gun whip you from here to the nearest marshal's office. All right, keep watching them.
Dix, now's your chance.
Nice going, Cherokee.
Dix, come on. Don't stand there. Yeah, you better stand there.
All right, Cherokee, now I'll see if my end is as good.
Well, Counselor, maybe you called me two-headed. But I'm standing here open-mouthed in admiration and calling you two-fisted. Yes, sir, you certainly locked the stable door on Mr. Ten-Horse Fanning. And I think the federal gentleman will keep the door locked for the next half-century to come.
Jim, after all Chad did to catch Fanning and save us our franchise, I think in addition to his fee, we ought to give him a partnership in the business.
Well, I appreciate the offer, Maud, but I'm afraid it won't work. You see, Cherokee certainly did as much as I did, and, well, there's not enough business for 4 partners.
Well, that's much different from insulting me and saying I have 2 heads.
And what's wrong with 2 heads, Cherokee? They say that 2 heads are better than 1.
Why, so they do. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And what's more, Cherokee, with 2 heads, you'd never have to get ahead of yourself.
Say, maybe having 2 heads would be a distinct advantage.
Maybe. Why, for a man with your affinity for sour mash whiskey, think of the help it would be to have 2 mouths.
Now that, Counselor, does it. I refuse to have 2 heads. Because if I fed both of these mouths drinking liquor, Then I'd have two heads to worry about the morning after.
Frontier Town, starring Reed Hadley and featuring Wade Crosby, is a Bruce Ells production. Story and direction by Paul Franklin. Music written and played by Ivan Ditmars. Be sure to be with us again same time next week for another fine action-adventure story with your favorite young Western star, Reed Hadley. And now this is Bill Foreman telling you that Frontier Town comes to you from Hollywood.